Ginny Thomas is the wife of the Associate Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Ginny Thomas has her own career. She's worked at the Great Heritage Foundation. She started her own nonprofit organization. She's been a lobbyist. And so she's under attack. Now, I want you to see how sleazy this is. This is Politico, which is sleazy enough. Politico. Politico is a liberal, gossipy, hit job website. If you want to know what liberals are thinking in the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, read Politico. And we even cite it here from time to time to point it out. And so this story by Jennifer Habercorn, 74 House Democrats are asking Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas to recuse himself from any health care reform cases, citing reports that his wife financially benefited from efforts to repeal the legislation. You say to yourself, what are they talking about? Then you can see the sleazy members who are involved in this, starting with the sleaziest of the sleazy, Anthony Little Weiner of New York. The members led by Anthony Little Weiner asked that he maintain the integrity of this court. Quote, the appearance of a conflict of interest, now that's always a good one, merits recusal under federal law. From what we've already seen, the line between your impartiality and you and your wife's financial stake in the overturn of health care reform is blurred. They cite Ginny Thomas's advertising herself as a lobbyist who has, quote, experience and connections, unquote, and appeals to clients who want to overturn health reform. So now if a spouse takes a position on an issue that everybody takes a position on and lobbies politically, not the courts, politically, for it or against it, then the justice should disqualify himself or herself. That's a very interesting standard. That's a brand new standard. They also say Thomas did not disclose his wife's receipt of hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Heritage Foundation between 2003 and 2006. She was a vice president at the Heritage Foundation. Salary, benefits, health payments. This is fascinating to me. I think all the justices should refrain from deciding this case. You want to know why? They all have an interest in health care. Oh, it's true. They all see doctors. They've all been to the hospital. They all get subsidized by you and me on government-run health care. It seems to me that they're all conflicted, and I guess they all have to recuse themselves. And while we're at it, members of Congress should recuse themselves too, because don't they have an interest in health care, political and otherwise? How absurd is this? The recusal rules are much more specific and substantive. Example. If one of the justices' spouses has, say, hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in AT&T, and a case comes before the court involving AT&T that might affect that stock, then the justice needs to recuse. Not it's some general public policy matter, but Politico finds this to be real news because Anthony Little Weiner feeds them the story, and all these left-wing kooks sign these letters. Let's see, what else here? The move comes after Republicans have floated similar concerns about the impartiality of Justice Elena Kagan. Let me explain this. If Elena Kagan worked on the health care law or some aspect of it and gave advice to the executive branch on how to mold it, on how to promote it, what was legal and what was illegal, and then as a justice is asked to determine whether, in part, her own work and advice is constitutional, clearly that's a conflict. Clearly she should recuse herself. That's not an appearance of a conflict. That's a tangible, real-life conflict. So they attacked Ginny Thomas when she worked at the Heritage Foundation. They attacked her when she headed a nonprofit group. They attack her now that she left the nonprofit group and has gone into private lobbying activity, quote unquote. So in other words, she can't work, according to Anthony Little Weiner, according to the liberal Democrats. Meanwhile, we're all supposed to praise Michelle Obama. We're all supposed to praise somebody who's trying to tell us how to live, what we can eat, when we can eat, where we can eat, how much we can eat. Now that we're supposed to praise. Now, keep in mind, she's not answerable to anybody, but she's obviously pressuring people in the executive branch as well as in the private sector to push out regulations or to accept standards that she wants to compel and impose on the rest of us. Ginny Thomas isn't doing anything like that. Isn't it interesting that conservative women are always smeared by these liberal pukes? Sarah Palin, Michelle Bachmann, Ginny Thomas. It doesn't matter. Isn't it also interesting that Sarah Palin's children are open to the most vicious, ruthless attacks about their looks, how they dance, what they say? Meanwhile, the Obama children, you damn well better not say a word. And by the way, I won't, because I don't believe in attacking the kids. But their children, not a word. Don't say a thing. Notice how they can talk about Sarah Palin's looks, or Michelle Bachmann's looks, or the looks of any conservative one. Don't say a word about Michelle Obama. Don't say that she looks a little heavy. Don't comment on the clothes she wears. Don't do any of that. No, no, no. Can't touch her. Look, I'm telling you like it is, and you know I'm right. So who signed this letter demanding that Clarence Thomas recuse himself because his wife is an independent woman who earns a living? Let's see. We have Sheila Jackson Lee. Oh. We have this jerk McDermott. Oh. We have Waters. Oh. In other words, a conga line of losers and jerks and libs. What this really is an attempt to muddy the waters. Elena Kagan, if she had any role in giving legal advice or developing this statute, or even a draft of it, needs to recuse herself. They know if that happens, they're in trouble. Because all she does is carry water for Obama. She is Obama's policy person on the Supreme Court. And so what they want to say is, well, but look at Clarence Thomas. Okay, look. There's no problem. Now, Anthony Little Weiner, why didn't you write a letter to Justice Thomas telling him that you're sorry about what your supporters at Code Pink and Common Cause had to say about him and his wife? Why didn't you write that letter, you little jerk? I used to think you were a joke. I used to make jokes about you. Now I think you're a menace.